Howdy, everybody. We've got a really exciting show planned for you today. So I've been, if you've been with me since the beginning, you know that I launched with Flat Earth Dave. And a big part of Fantasia is being open-minded and curious and stretching your credibility so you can grow and make the magic happen. And Flat Earth Dave talks about the Earth being flat. And that's about as controversial an idea as it comes. So if you haven't checked that out, please do that. But today he's back to give us more information about the things that he believes that mainstream people don't know. So welcome back, Dave. It's good to see you.
Thanks. That was your first show? Was that your first?
You're your first. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Big splash.
Wow. That's when I did my podcast, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, the first one we did was 9/11, which the title of the show was 9/11 is Dave's Baby. And it was a big splash. So equally so. And again, I believe the Earth is flat. I know it's not flat. I know it's flat and not a globe. There you go. Okay. Freudian slip. There you go. I must know that it's a globe.
So when we first sat down 4 months ago, and since the final experiment happened over 4 days in December 2024, got to start with that. So the final experiment was an offer by Will Duffy, an American Christian pastor, for an all-expense-paid trip for flat earthers and globe earthers to experience the midnight sun. And some flat earthers say that if there's a 24-hour midnight sun, then this would disprove the flat earth theory. And it was all live streamed. We all saw it. So Dave, can you tell us if I presented that event correctly and your interpretation of it?
Well, you presented it as it was presented, the final experiment, which is neurolinguistic programming. Then the final experiment stored in your brain as a case, and then if this happens, then that. If that happens, then this. Right. So you're focusing on the result of the final experiment. It's not experiment. It's not final, and it's an observation of a light in the sky. If you believe that the motion now, and by the way, 7-8 years ago, I did say there can't be a circling sun in Antarctica. And I think I'm wrong, but I don't think there is a circling sun in Antarctica. And I think we were deceived. This was a massive deception. But that doesn't even matter. I don't need to prove that, because if you want to believe that the motion of a light in the sky, you have to take it proves the shape of the Earth. You have to take all of the other baggage that comes with it. What do I mean by that? You have to believe that helium and hydrogen that defy gravity here on Earth, that are gases, the law and that natural gas law is gas violently fills the available space, but violating that law, helium and hydrogen collapse upon themselves and make gigantic 860,000 mile around burning balls in a vacuum. This violates natural law. Okay, so we're talking about Narnia here. So now we have a burning ball of gas burning 640 billion tons of helium and hydrogen every single day for billions of years, never changed sizes, has enough gravity to hold on to Pluto and Neptune and all the other planets, but ignores our moon. When our moon comes around the Earth towards the sun, shouldn't it speed up a little bit? When it tries to go away, shouldn't it slow down a little bit? Right? So
makes sense.
We're literally talking about Narnia land here. If you go to my channel or search on my app for but the final experiment debunked, or I forget the name of the video now. It's on my interviews channel, where Marty Leeds and we talk about the technology that they have that exists for them to actually fake a sun in the sky. Right? They can Project Bluebeam. They can project cities into the sky, 8K holograms. Right? Microsoft has the technology to project plasma balls that bring light and heat into thin air. Okay, there's technology where you can actually put physical objects on these holograms and they will float in the air. I mean, it's beyond what we're talking about. And if you look at this, to think that they couldn't fake it, and I'm not saying that they did, it's something that needs to be looked into more. But that's where my money would be if we were going to bet on it. It's crazy to deny that that's even a possibility when there's so many things about this technology. And I'll say this, several of them I can't talk about because the person that told me about them, if I revealed what he told me, it would lead back to him. Okay. And that's all I can say. That's all I can say.
Hmm.
So again, it doesn't matter whether they fake the sun, whether there is some anomaly around the solstice. There are several models that could show a circling sun there. I don't know if they're true or not. They're all just theories, right? The heliocentric sun is a theory. The heliocentric hypothesis is the craziest thing ever, right? We could say, oh, the sun's a projection through the firmament, as all the ancient religions said. It's a focal point of light, as some based on the guy's name, a well-known scientist. He said that the sun that we see is in non-space and it's a transformer from another dimension. There's all these different things. There's certain models that say that the south sun is a reflection off of the dome. All of these things, you say, okay, they're all just theories. But the craziest theory at all is the one I just told you. The heliocentric sun, hydrogen and helium with gravity in a space vacuum, violating natural law. Okay, right? You need containment for air, right? You open up a soda, instantly equalizes, right? You have a box of air in a room that has no air. You open the box, the air instantly fills the room, instantly, right? So when you want to say that the light in the sky dictates the shape of the Earth, you have to take in the fact that it's helium and hydrogen in space. It's 400 times bigger than the moon. It's 400 times farther than the moon. It lines up perfectly, making eclipses, which the odds of that are zero. And it does it every year, and every 18 years, the exact cycle repeats again and again and again and again, right? In a gravitational helio-nonsensical BS model. But the eclipses repeat every 18 years through eternity, right? The sky clock is the most accurate clock in the world because the finest Swiss watch is basing time off of the sky clock. But in our best computers that we have, we can't model three gravitational bodies. It's called the three body system, the three body problem, where if you put two balls, like, hey, I got a sun, I got a planet, at these size, this much gravity, and then you could put it in a computer model and say they're orbiting each other, and that computer model will tell you exactly where it's going to be every second for now until eternity. Then you add one more body. You add one more body into that, a moon or a sun or another star or another planet, and the entire thing goes into chaos mode. Here's three equal-sized bodies. This is a computer modeling what they would do, and after a very short period of time, they go into what I call chaos mode. You never know what it's going to do next. You can guess what it's going to do a couple seconds from now, but you can't guess what it's going to do a minute from now. Right? So this is what our solar system would be doing. But our solar system is making beautiful, perfect spirograph patterns. And there, without getting into it, there's a 2,000 years ago, well, they found a fossil off of Greece, off the island of Antikythera, and they called it the Antikythera mechanism. And it was a computer gear-based model that shows you exactly where all the eclipses happen, where all the planets are, the phases of the moon, everything. And it's the most accurate computer that we have to this day. It models everything from 2,000 years ago, and it's still deadly accurate today. They rebuilt it. They used MRIs and X-rays, and they literally rebuilt it. And it's amazing. But you don't hear about this because they don't want you to know about it. So the final experiment is, again, it's a neurolinguistic programming. Hey, this is the final experiment. Well, I have two choices. It's called a false binary. That trip was designed for me, because me with my app has been literally causing them waking up too many people. So they wanted to take it down. And I instantly saw through the false binary and said, absolutely not. I'm not interested. Take a hike. But I know I'm talking a lot, but I want to talk about a real final experiment, right? And nobody has come up with anything that says that this won't work. So this is a gyro, a 3-axis gyro, gimbal gyro, right? It holds rigidity in space, right? So if I had this gyro on this hallway and I walked down the hallway, it would stay level with the floor, right? If I did somersaults, it would stay level with the floor, right? If I turned it sideways, it would point straight down the hallway as I walked down the hallway. Now, if that hallway if it was a left-hand turn at the end, I would turn, but the gyro would stay focused this way. I would now be walking this way with the gyro, right? Instead of this way, right? So that's the nature of a gyro, right? So on a ball Earth, north to south are straight lines. So if you use the gyro, an upright gyro, aligned it with north and south, and you went from the North Pole to the South Pole, anywhere, the gyro would stay aligned with magnetic north perfectly. Okay. The problem is in the north, when you follow a line west, you have to constantly keep turning to the right to maintain that heading. Now, that's true on a flat Earth and a globe Earth, right? Because let's say on a globe, you're a mile from the North Pole. So your North Pole is there, 90 degrees, right? North Pole is right there, 90 degrees. So west would be 90 degrees to that. And if I try to go that way, I have to keep turning so my north needle would stay to the North Pole. Do you understand?
Yes.
Right. So east and west are circles around the north. Doesn't prove flat Earth because it's the same on both. Globers don't like going down this path because they know where it's going. So let's say this is New York. I'm going to California, going around, and I have to constantly keep turning to the right. You won't even notice that turn. If you were on a track that was 1,000 miles around, you would think you were going straight, right? You'd think you're going straight. You wouldn't even notice the micro turns, especially if you're an airplane in the sky. However, in the south, when you go west on a globe, you have to turn to the left to maintain that heading of 270, right? You have to turn to the left, right? And so that doesn't happen. You turn to the right. Now, do we have evidence of this? There's many Navy ship captains that always talk about when they're trying to dead reckon east or west in the south, they're trying to dead reckon and they have to keep turning to the north, not to the south. And they're told, don't worry about it by their admirals. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just keep doing your job, right? So this would be a final experiment. That would be a final experiment, right? On a flat Earth, you got the equators right here. So you got a plane in the north and a plane in the south. They both have to keep turning to the right to maintain that heading of 270 degrees west. There's your final experiment. It would take one day. It would take one airplane in the south and a gyro. And we were actually very close. We had a guy that had private jets, money. He was about to buy the gyro that we needed. It was $6,000. He disappeared.
What do you mean disappeared?
Can't find him. Disappeared. Went radio silent on me. Now, I could theorize all day what happened. They could have said, hey, buddy, if you continue down this path, you're going to be poor, right? Super rich guy. What's the best way to control a super rich guy? Make him poor. Okay. You know, they could have threatened his family. They could have done anything. They just, maybe some tragedy happened. I don't know, but he disappeared. Weird. Really weird. We were on a private encrypted server talking to each other and he disappeared.
Wow.
Right? You have to turn to the right, but on a globe, this plane would have to turn to the left, as I showed earlier. Now, there's a final experiment. You want to see another one?
Sure.
So, where is my other one? What was my other one? I thought it was here. Well, my other one is, wow, where did it go? Oh, that's not it. So did that make sense to you? Did you follow that completely?
I did.
100%? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So they want to look at lights in the sky. See, Globers only want to talk about people from thousands of years ago. You know, Eratosthenes figured it out, and they want to talk about lights in the sky. Well, first you have to validate what these lights in the sky are, right? And we could prove that the lights in the sky aren't what they say. Well, first, the sun violates natural law, and all of the stars not only do they violate natural law, they violate perspective. We could not see Polaris if it was 2 light months away. Light months, the distance light travels in 2 months, because the angular size would make it smaller than the smallest star, and we wouldn't be able to see it. But they tell us it's 433 light years away. Right?
Where does these numbers come from?
Where
I
does
mean, it
what?
must be based on something.
What?
Where do these numbers come from? Like the
They,
sun is this far away, Polaris is this far away. It has to come from somewhere.
yeah, it comes from mainstream science. They made it up. Basically, they said, hey, Venus is going to transit in front of the sun, right? This happens. We've seen Venus transit in front of the sun. There's lots of problems with that. And we had people watch it from New York and people watch it from California, and they started and ended at different times. Huh. So considering that Venus is about the same size as Earth, we can calculate using some really good math how far away it is based on the start and stop time, right? Because, when I say
Yes.
it's transiting in front, right? I got this. There we go. It's transiting in front, but somebody over here would see it at a different time, and somebody over here would see it at a different time, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the problem with that equation? Let me give you an example of a similar equation. You have $1 million in your checking account right now. Tomorrow, I'm going to double it. And then the next day, I'm going to double it again. And the next day, I'm going to double it again. How much money do you have in your checking account?
8 million.
Do you?
Well, you doubled it once. That's
if I
two.
doubled the million that you have in your bank account, right? You have in your bank account, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do? You have $1 million in your checking account?
You said I did.
Well, they said Venus is the same size as Earth. It's an equal statement to you having $1 million in your zero interest checking account.
Got it.
Okay. So they just make shit up.
Got it.
They make shit up. So here's my other one. So this one involves 2 airplanes, right? So you get 2 airplanes in Chile. You fly to Antarctica, to the shoreline. Go to the base closest to the shoreline. Prove that you're there. You got scientists, professors, flat earthers, globe earthers. You got everyone on these airplanes, right? On both airplanes. And then the airplanes fly around Antarctica. They say the circumference is 10,000 miles. So at 500 miles per hour, it would take 10 hours to go halfway around. 5,000 miles, 500 times 10 hours. So the planes would fly and land right there. Now, if the Earth is a globe and this is the size of Antarctica, yes, it could go there. The problem is that doesn't prove that the Earth is a globe, right? If this is what it would look like on a flat Earth. On a flat Earth, you fly from Chile to Antarctica. You prove that you're there, right? The circumference is estimated to be 68,000 miles. So at 500 miles an hour to go halfway around, it would take 68 hours. So the planes would fly 68 hours. That's a big difference than 10 hours, right?
Yes.
So we can even give them some wiggle room. We can give them some headwind room. We can give them anything. Now, I want these planes to fly right off the shoreline at just a couple thousand feet so we can see the whole time, right? And it should be light the whole time if you do it in December near the solstice, right? If the Earth is a globe, right? The problem is that doesn't prove, again, no. So the flat Earth one, 68 hours, that's never going to happen because if the Earth is flat, there's no plane that can make that flight. They have to do in-air fueling, right? So it's not going to happen, which is why it hasn't happened, right? What if the Earth was set up like this and go back. What if the Earth was set up like this and the base that they go to is right here? Well, they can easily circumnavigate and go around here and say, yeah, we just went around Antarctica. And the base off of South Africa is right here. And the base off of Australia is right here or here, right? One of these, right? How would you know? How would you know? Look, this is bigger. This little guy is bigger than the United States. Okay. So you don't know. That's like landing in Long Island on a boat and knowing what's going on in California. You don't know anything. You don't even know that that Long Island Sound separates you from the rest of the country. Okay. You don't know anything. So the trick is you then have to fly to, whoops, I went the wrong way. You then have to fly to Australia. Okay. Right. And on a flat earth, it would look like this. Right. So if the earth was flat, it would take even longer because you'd have to fly back to Antarctica. It would be over 68 hours to get back. Right. You wouldn't be able to get to Australia because if you went here, back it up a little bit. There we go. So if you went here and then you flew around and landed over here and go, Earth is a globe, you have to go to Australia now. Well, where's Australia? It's all the way over here. Okay. You can't get there. You can't get there without flying around the ice, which is super long. If there is ice all the way around, we don't even know. We don't even know. No one's allowed out there. So this is another final experiment that will never happen. The first one I show you can happen in one day. It just needs one airplane, a nice big airplane, so we can have TV crews, film crews, podcasters, scientists, MIT professors. Everyone's on there, and we verify the whole thing in one day. One day. Never happened because it'll prove that we don't live on a globe.
So in the final experiment, they did invite big name people, flat Earth people, to be there. And I know one of them,
Aaron,
I can't remember the guy's name, said I was wrong. And another one, Austin Whitsitt, he still maintains it's I don't know what happened here, but it's still a flat Earth.
100%.
How do you what gets me about that is the logic. On one hand, you have somebody who I think that Austin Whitsitt said, okay, if there's a 24-hour sun, then I'm wrong. But he gets there, he sees the 24-hour sun, and he still doesn't believe it. So you could say that that's just, he's just won't believe the evidence no matter what.
Well, what evidence? We're seeing a light in the sky that defies natural law. That defies natural law. How does gas exist in a vacuum? Right? The entire heliocentric hypothesis is ridiculous. When I say ridiculous, I mean the other R word. It's so stupid. Okay. But people just want to believe it because they were told, oh, well, the sun is a sun. It's hydrogen, helium in a space vacuum. You can't have hydrogen and helium in a space vacuum. It doesn't work. Okay.
So you're saying looking at all the evidence.
You have to all of the other garbage comes with it, right? Seasons. Right, you have to believe that the tilt of the Earth is causing the seasons. Right, where are you? You're in the U.S. Right? Where are you? What state?
Yes,
what
Virginia.
State? So you're Virginia, so it doesn't get that cold in Virginia, but in Connecticut we had it below freezing, many days. Right, and they say it's just because of the tilt of the Earth, because the sun's here and Connecticut is just tilted away a little bit. And so the sun has to travel going in at another angle, but the sun's closer in our winter and farther in our summer, right? But I was in Mexico, just a couple thousand miles away, just a little farther over, and it was 90 degrees. Okay. And it was 80 degrees at sunrise. So when the sun is far tilted away from hitting me directly, it's super warm. And then at noon in Connecticut, when the sun is much more direct and closer, it's below freezing, right? If you can wrap your mind around this, it's absolute garbage. It's garbage. The way that I was a Sun Alive on a TikTok live before I got on here. And I said, how is it possible that this argument is still going on? And from a flat earther side of point of view, right? And the answer is because people don't know how to think.
Yeah.
People aren't able to think below surface level thoughts. So I don't know what happened to Jaron, but something happened to him. He literally, because of one observation of a Narnia object that defies natural law, he thrown out 10 years of stuff, right? I don't know what happened. I can't speculate what happened to him. But then 3 other flat earthers that were kind of just in retirement pretty much, we're just like not talking flat earth. They all came out on the same day. They flipped with the exact same script, the exact same talking points. Weird, right? But all three of them were involved in pushing a crypto coin several years ago. They had their own show that stopped abruptly when the SEC came after them. And so they were never charged, right? Because a lot of people, including myself, lost significant amounts of money. And each one of those violations comes with 25 years in prison, consecutive, right?
Wow.
Perhaps I can't think of a better explanation that they were told that they need to flip, have these talking points. They came out with the same talking points on the same day, throwing out everything. Two of them were devout Christians, and they were in Jaron's chats, like Jaron's doing this anti-flat earth stream, and they were in the chat. The three of them were in the chat supporting him before the show even started. Jaron is the most anti-Christian person on earth. He said that Jesus Christ could S his effing D, okay, on a show, right? And that he said worse things, right? And so these Christians that have just thrown out everything the Bible says, now that they're saying the earth is a ball spinning in space, are they supporting him? It is clear that those three are being motivated by, in my opinion, I have no proof other than all of the proof, right? Will Duffy, he on the also has major SEC violations. He's already paid $500,000 in fines, and he has another $500,000 in fines that come with jail time. And these fines were these charges were put against him in June, the latest ones in June, and all he cares about is settling the final debate, right? That's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird, right? And again, science says you need to do an observation 3 times. You have different variables, right? This is one observation of a light in the sky. Could be fake, could be an anomaly. There's several models. If you look into syncretism, right? There's all sorts of models for it, and that could explain it. And you can't discount them because they are far less crazy than the heliocentric hypothesis.
Well, I'm glad you brought up a lot of things, but the religious aspect, because I have heard that flat earthers are like a religious cult, and it has something to do with being a biblical literalist versus a follower of science. And I know there's not one belief in the flat earth movement, but can you speak about that religious
There's Christians have been persecuted for all of their beliefs for all of the time of being Christians, that Jesus rose from the dead and everything that comes with it, right? So Christians have always been persecuted. Christians are everywhere. They're in every group. Nothing wrong with that. They're just everywhere. And the Bible, from page 1, God separated the Genesis, page 1, God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. Every ancient religion on earth talks about that. That's a flat earth, right? That's a flat earth. So there's 200 plus verses in the Bible talking about a flat, unmovable earth. God spread out the heavens like a tent. The earth does not move, right? There's nothing that mentions a sphere in the Bible, that the earth is a sphere. It says the earth is a circle. Well, the definition of a circle is a line on a plane where all the points on that line are equidistant from a center point. That's a circle, okay? The circle of the earth. The sun circles Polaris, right? And so when you say it's a religious cult, absolutely not. I was anti all religions. I don't know. I was, anyone that mentions Jesus, the Bible, the Quran, anything, I'd like, you're a nut. I'm not listening to anything you say. And then when I discovered scientifically that the earth is a level non-rotating plane, I had to start acknowledging the stuff in the Bible and the Quran and all of these other flat earth books. They're all flat earth books.
So you're saying that they're related but don't really have anything to do with each other. So just because you're a Christian and believe in the Bible doesn't mean that you're a flat earther and vice versa.
Well, no, the thing is, if you're a Christian and you're not a flat earther, you're a churchian. You're not a Christian. You're just someone that follows,
Okay.
the stuff in the church, because the Bible is, show me a verse in the Bible that is, that says the earth is a globe, a planet, it's absolutely insanity. It's insanity when you look at it. So saying it's a cult, it's not a cult. We my podcast, the Flat Earth podcast, when I was doing it, my co-host was Matt Long, and he comes from the Bible side. He comes from the
Okay.
Bible side, right? And I come from the scientific side because you can show a Bible proof that the Earth is flat and stationary and doesn't move, and somebody that doesn't believe in the Bible is just going to be like, "Yeah, big deal. Your fairy tale book says this, so what?" But if you show a scientific proof, then anyone, doesn't matter if you're religious or not, you have to look at that science, right? And then you have to start making up stories for why the Bible isn't correct.
So you didn't start out as a believer. Was there one thing that made you go, okay, I can't do this anymore. It's flat.
Yeah, it was boats over the horizon. I got a P 900 when it first came out, and which is a super zoom camera. I bought a good tripod. I went down to the water. I had a perfect day. I zoomed in on a buoy over 10 miles away. At 10 miles, there should be 66 feet of curvature. I could see the buoy. I could see the surface of the water beyond the buoy. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Easy
and
enough.
and the story of refraction is ridiculous. Refraction is the dumbest thing ever, right? You can't here. So you know what I mean by I say refraction. I'm gonna show you this.
Yes.
Show this. This is just a good graphic. So we're on a frozen lake, right? Large bodies of water at rest lie flat, and when it gets cold, they freeze flat.
Yes.
You ever go skating on a lake that wasn't flat?
No.
Okay. So we got this camera 6 inches off the ice. We put these lights out here at 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, and 5 miles. Doesn't seem like a lot, but according to the globe measurements, that this one should be. Now, I add the globers, whenever they see something that should be behind the curve, they go, oh, it's refracting up. And it's like 0.02 refraction is like standard refraction or whatever it is. It's a stupid thing. I added 50% refraction to these numbers, right? So I took off, this should be 45 feet. I think that's the number, but I'm rounding down, giving the globe every benefit of the doubt. This light should be 30 feet below the curve, 22 feet, 15 feet, and 9 feet, but they're all there. So now you have two options. The camera is looking across the flat ice and seeing the four lights at the four distances. Or the camera is 6 inches off the ice, which means that the horizon should be less than a mile away. And for some reason, these things that are hiding behind the curve are refracting up the perfect amount just to stop at the tangent of that horizon. Okay. That
Got
is
it.
frigging ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed. Yeah.
Frigging ridiculous.
So tell us about Admiral Byrd and who is he and what does he have to do with flat Earth?
So Admiral Byrd in the 40s and 50s, he led expeditions to Antarctica, huge expeditions, thousands of people. And he, on a television show, he, on a news show in the 50s, yeah, when TV just literally just started pretty much, he said that in Antarctica, there is land bigger than the United States beyond the South Pole. And from where he was coming from, beyond the South Pole would be in between Australia and Africa. And that land that no one has ever seen. Don't you think those people over there might have seen something bigger than the United States? I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? And it's filled with resources. And 6 months later, he's dead. He died in his sleep. Weird. Okay. And then they said, we're going to the moon. Forget about Antarctica. We're going to the moon. Look over here. Don't look over there. Look over here. We're going to the moon. We're going to send a bunch of Freemasons to the moon. And they went to, they took, they first, his Antarctica, his Antarctica thing was a huge, what's going on here? Did I disappear? I disappeared. Let me get that back. I'll show you that in a second. But he had a huge ticker tape parade, right? Fascinating, right? They celebrated it, and then they want you to immediately forget it, right? This is all about Admiral Byrd and his trip to Antarctica, New York City. Again, that's a whole other thing. We talked about the old world. Like these buildings were built before they had power tools or trucks. Okay. Whole nother story. So Admiral Byrd, now a lot of people say he's a Freemason. He's lying about everything, or it's revelation of the method. He's actually telling us what they're required to tell us. I believe that they're required to tell us not to break our free will, right? We have free will. Remember the movie Bruce Almighty with
I never saw it.
never saw it. So it's Morgan Freeman and Jim Carrey. And Jim is he basically meets God, and God's like, "Oh, you don't think I'm doing a good job? Okay, you have all my powers. Let's see what you can do. I'm going on vacation." That's the premise of the movie. He goes, "But there's one rule. Well, maybe there's two rules, but the one rule was you can't break anyone's free will." I think that's a real rule, right? Not because it's in the movie. I'm just giving you an example. And we have free will. So I think that as long as they tell us the truth, then it's our fault for not questioning it. And that's what I do. I'm here questioning the stuff that we're finding out. And by the way, the veil is lifting. The narrative that these globers are putting out there is flat Earth is dead because of this Narnia object in the sky that we say is a helium and hydrogen. That's not true. More and more people are waking up to flat Earth every day. The final experiment was designed specifically for me. And when I turned it down, they flipped out. They had their agents contacting every influencer in my life. I was speaking at Antarctic in February, and months before, they had agents calling Antarctic going, Dave Weiss is going to be there. We offered him a free trip to Antarctica. You should convince him to go. You shouldn't let him speak at your conference, right? Like out of nowhere, they're calling everybody. And I'm like, get out of here. I go, I don't deal with demons. This guy is a demon, right? And if you don't understand that we're in a spiritual war, you don't. That's how spiritual wars are won. When people are just stuck in their 3D reality. The Globers want you to believe in a physical Earth and a physical sky. Everything pays attention to Newtonian physics, right? If you can't hit it with a hammer, it's laughable, right? In my reality, we live on this dielectric plane, okay? We live, I'm not fast. I haven't done a whole bunch of interviews since I got back, and I have like some graphics I want to show. We live on this plane inside of this toroidal field. And that plane is the inertial plane that we live on. That's as physical as things get. That's 1% of the flat Earth model. Everything else is non-physical, right? So I'm just talking about the stuff that we are physically experiencing here in this physical reality that we're having. And the Globers want you to say everything's physical. And if you come up with anything that's non-physical, like God, they don't believe in God, okay, then you're crazy. It's amazing.
So we did not talk about this being spiritual warfare before. So tell me more about that.
Well, I believe we live in a soul system, a system made for souls, okay? And they want us to not understand who we are. We are connected to this living system. Everything from the moon, the stars, the air. What is air? Remind me to talk about that in a few minutes. Okay. And we have this incredible connection, right? This place, this realm is amazing, right? And so how can they stop you, right? Well, they put a globe over your head and they say, this is it. You live here. That's it. Right? They're literally imprisoning your mind. And the globe is a place of fear, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. And that's how they control you. Because when you're in fear, you give up your natural rights. You give up your free will and say, please, dominate over me. Please, Mr. Government. Government is govern, control, meant is the mind, right? They're controlling your mind, right? This is a connection to God. They don't want you not being able to have a reason to deny creation. On the globe, you can deny creation. You can go with the Big Bang, the thing that a Jesuit priest made up. Hey, once upon a time, there was nothing. It exploded, created everything. Lightning struck. We went from amoeba to monkeys to men. Okay. You want to believe that? Have a good time. Good luck with that. Right. And so understanding what this place is and where you are unplugs you from their heliocentric hypothesis matrix.
So if I am somebody who grew up in the public school system, I don't know how to think, and my head is spinning right now. You said earlier people don't know how to think. What suggestions would you have for that person?
Good question. My suggestion would be to stop Googling, stop going to school, get out of school immediately, right? And start making your own choices, looking at information. I tell people, don't believe anything I tell you. I give you resources. Start looking into the old world. Start looking into the physics of this world. And then you'll understand that nothing is the way they tell you. Right here is this is the old world button. I don't know if I had that. Whoops, last time you were here, but on the old world button, there's amazing stuff. You have the app. You got the app, right?
I
You
don't.
get the app. You need to get the app. All right. There's my suggestion. Get the app. Why get the app? Let's think. One, because I want your $3. That's true. It helps me keep doing this. So give me your $3, right? But it's the best $3 you'll ever spend. Right here is a new video that came out since you last talked. Since we last talked, it'll blow your mind. It's called Hidden Grids, the Old World, right? Oh, no. Actually, I'm my bad. That's a whole nother channel I added here. This one, the our history in a different view, mind blowing. Then, have you started watching My Lunch Break? My Lunch Break on YouTube. You don't even need to get the app. Go on YouTube, search My Lunch Break or Rumble or anywhere else. Search My Lunch Break. Start watching those videos. Don't believe anything he says. Go verify everything, right? And then when you start unplugging from this heliocentric hypothesis, you start seeing the world for what it is. Things become more interesting. Fear leaves you. When fear leaves you, health and expansion happens, right? I was talking about air a minute ago, right? Hey, everybody, quick message that I'd like to share with all of you. Our lives are filled with toxins in our air, food, and even in the information we're taught. Avoiding them all is impossible, but helping your body detox doesn't have to be complicated. That's where Masterpiece comes in. Just 5 drops under your tongue twice a day, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, and it doesn't even taste bad. I've tried countless supplements, and while generally I'm pretty healthy, I didn't really feel much of an effect. But with Masterpiece, it delivered noticeable benefits. Check out the podcast I did with Terry from Masterpiece, linked below this video, or you can find links directly to Masterpiece on my website, flatearthdave.com, or in the shopping section on the app. The key to health is to detoxify. Now back to the show. When you breathe, right, we need to breathe. What happens if you stop breathing? Your heart,
You die.
Well, the first thing is you lose consciousness. Your heart's still beating, your brain's still working, right? But you lose consciousness. Maybe we're breathing in consciousness. And then the other thing is water. When you look at water, water gives life, right? Water is everywhere. Nowhere in the Bible does it talk about God creating water. Water just exists. It's everywhere. I believe it's above the firmament. It's everywhere. It's in the earth. Primary water, right? Where there's no water shortages. Earth is mostly water. Okay. Right. And so some people have speculated that water, a drop of water holds terabytes of information. So we want to talk about the non-physical heavenly realms. Look up at the clouds just right above us. Non-physical water in like beautiful clusters. When the way clouds used to be, cumulus clouds, before they started spraying them, right? They want you to believe that the spraying is weather control. It probably is a little bit of weather control too, but literally it destroys the cumulus clouds and turns them into slurry. There's a spiritual war going on in the heavens right above you, and you can look at it every day. Just go outside and look, okay? And so our connection to those clouds, to that heavenly realm, is being disrupted, right? Water and air, the yin and the yang, you can create water from air and you can create air from water, right? So maybe water and air is what God is and where God is. Where's God? He's all around us. So
the big question is why? Why the deception? And what's the point of making us ignorant?
you haven't figured that one out yet?
I want to know what you think.
because first you're in a prison. When you're in a prison, you can't think, you can't you can't your thoughts create your reality.
Yes.
Right? If you are stuck inside of a globe, you can't think outside of that globe. If your belief is all there is the globe, you can't think beyond it. Right? What does the globe come with? Shortages, overpopulation, global warming, crime, nuclear bombs, all of that, asteroids hitting us, wars, right? That's what the globe comes with. That's fear, right? Fear gives you cancer. Okay. But when you understand that this place is infinite, that this place has, an etheric grid, there used to be this natural etheric grid. I think people used to live 900 years. Noah supposedly lived 900 years, but that's just a crazy story in a religious cult book, right? So they've replaced that with an artificial grid. And I think that's where, without getting booted off of YouTube, those towers that they're putting up everywhere that are supposedly so we can download movies faster, they're literally overlaying this frequency that's a non-healing frequency versus all of the old frequencies, all of the old buildings, which were resonators, and all of the pyramids, right? What are the biggest pyramids in the world? Where are they?
Egypt?
Egypt, right? You know about Giza, right? That's all I
Yes.
tell you about. There's pyramids in Bosnia that are way bigger than Egypt.
That's why I said Egypt. I was wondering.
Yeah, no, there's in China, there's one town that has like 100 pyramids in it, gigantic pyramids. They're all grown over, right? Pyramids are everywhere. There's a pyramid buried in Alaska that's supposedly bigger than Giza, right? They're everywhere. What were these things, right? There's an episode on the Giza pyramids in the Y Files. A lot of people know that. That's a very popular show. Watch that. There's zero possibility that you can watch that and then believe that there are tombs. So now that you realize that the mainstream is lying to us about that, what else are they lying about? They're lying about everything. If you believe you live on a globe, you live in fear, you live in lack, you live in limit, your thoughts can't expand. But if you live on a flat earth where there's abundance, right? They tell us there's 8 billion people on earth. The number's closer to 1 to 2 billion, but they don't want you to know that. They want you to think it's amazing. If you had the app, yesterday's video, if you click here, or the last couple of days, there's a video. It's called The Final Warning by a guy named allegedly Dave Moore. And he lays it out in a way that like no one has laid it out before on what is going on in this world. And I highly recommend that you watch it.
How many people have the app?
There's over 200,000 on the friend finder. Let's see. You know what? The 214,546 right there.
I asked that question just to give an idea of how many flat earthers there are, because obviously not all flat earthers have the app, but is that number growing?
It's growing every day. It's growing every day.
Even though the final experiment happened?
Well, they literally spent a ton of money hacking my app. In October, they were able to break into the server and they stole all the information. Now, let me tell you what information they stole. When you sign up for the app, you know what KYC is? When you sign up for something, you have to prove your identity. Like if you sign up for an account or a crypto account, you have to take your passport and your license and all this stuff. This is non-KYC. This is put in any name you want, any email you want, and any information that you want to share with the other users, right? So instead of hacking the app, they could have just paid the $3 and looked at everyone's information that everyone's sharing. Like if I went on Facebook right now and found you, I could hack your information. I could take all your information. That's basically what they did. So again, the final experiment had two purposes: to take me down and to take this app down. Okay. Because it's waking up too many people. It's letting people, one of the things is, when you're a flat earther, it's like, no one I can talk to, family, my kids, right? I can't talk to anybody. So you go on the app and you click the friend finder, and then you can see all the people around you. You can check out their profiles. You can message them. You can set up meetups. You can do all sorts of stuff, right? So, you can zoom in and, you can pick a Pick a person, look at their profile, send them a message. There's also a dating feature on the app now, a little heart button, right? You can say, all right, I'm interested in male, female, whatever you're interested in, within 100 miles and this age group. And then it'll let you swipe between all the people that are there, start talking. There's already babies because of this app. They don't want that. They don't want us coming together. If you hold a meetup and one person shows up, a new friend that's a flat earther, that's a massive success, right? We did a meetup. We sent out a radius message for 100 kilometers. 85 people showed up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I say that less than 1% of the flat earthers even know about my app.
Yeah, yeah. So does that put the people who can be identified or even you in danger?
You know
Because you
what?
talked about how the guy disappeared.
Well, he was stopped. I don't think he's dead or anything like that. He literally, my guess is he was told, don't ever talk to him or you're going to be poor, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's how you motivate a rich person. Um, I don't know, but the thing is, I'm not afraid, right? Because I
mm,
don't think they can touch you. I think they can only put you in fear, and then
yeah,
you allow anything that happens to you, you're allowing it. That's hard for a lot of people to take in, but
yeah,
you attract this stuff in your life. And the thing is, if you're worried about being tracked, get rid of your phone, get rid of everything, get rid of your router, get rid of everything because it's all tracking you. It's
yeah,
all tracking, all of
yeah.
it.
Why do you think there's so much hostility against people who agree with flat Earth or even just curious about it?
Yeah, because when again, it's a spiritual war, and the most people that fight against flat Earth don't even know their own model. They're just fighting because demonic forces, this is my belief, literally are controlling these people and getting them to do and say, "Oh my God, they're saying all of your education is nonsense," and these people believe the Earth is flat. That's so silly because everybody would fall off. Cats would push everything off the edge of the Earth, and so it makes them feel powerful, like, oh my God, these stupid flat earthers, let me go attack them. And we do this on TikTok every day where we let these globers come on and we're super nice. And we're like, what's your breast globe, proof of your globe religion? And the stuff they come up with is literally, we're just like, oh, really? Really? I mean, that's all you have? Like, what's your best proof the earth is a globe? Do you have one?
No.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your best proof that you're a woman?
The dictionary
Well, the dictionary,
says it,
you could
well, it gives
also,
me
I
a
mean,
definition of what a woman is, and
well,
then I
you
have
know
a
you're a
DNA
woman. Do you
test.
have kids? Do you have kids?
I do.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
there's pretty good evidence, right?
Yeah.
All right. So again, if something's real, there would be evidence. There's no evidence of the globe. I offer 3 Bitcoins still to this day for one globe proof, and
Hmm.
there's none. The globe is, well, he's not going to pay anyway. The final experiment is proof. It's not proof. What is the sun? How far is it? It's all made up.
Hmm.
So a made up object in the sky, right? Let's talk about the. Let me see if I can show you this. So again, here's a star. Our consumer optics have outgrown their lies, right? Uh, does that look like what they told you? Is that a burning ball of hydrogen trillions of miles away? How am I able to
No.
zoom in on it? So if I take my P1000 camera and I zoom in on the moon, perfectly focused, I could zoom past the moon, take it out of focus. I could zoom back to the moon, bring it in focus. I could zoom before the moon, bring it out of focus, right? I could focus,
Right? Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
the moon there. I can go over to the sun, put a solar filter on it. I could zoom past, forward, back, bring it into focus. And I could do the same with planets. I can bring them into perfect focus. I could go past them and I could come back. What's interesting is you could go to the moon or a planet, bring it into focus, and then switch to the other one, and you don't have to change the focus. It's in focus.
That's crazy.
You know what's crazy? The
So,
heliocentric religion is crazy.
So these pictures that we get from NASA and all the telescopes, they're fake. Is that what you're telling me? Because they
So
don't look like
NASA
that.
just put this out the other day. They discovered these bizarre rocks in on Mars. Right. This is from NASA.
Hmm.
This is from NASA. Right. Hold on. That's not what I want to show you. Where did it go? We got too many things going on here. So transition. Why is that playing? Oh, there we go. All right. So, oh, just go away. Hold on a second. Um, so this is a good one. Plus, add files. Hold on a second. There we go. Open. There we go. So they said these weird rocks. Do you notice something wrong here? Let's zoom in right here. What is that? What is that? Right?
Shadow?
No, this right here and this. This is a little bush and this is grass. Here's the grass.
Oh,
It's grass.
that is grass.
Right. And here's a little weed.
Uh-huh.
So NASA's lying to us. There's life on Mars,
Yes,
or they're not on Mars.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So do we need anything else? I mean, do we
I don't.
do we yeah. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, the amount of fakery is unbelievable. Right. And what's up with this? Right? Here's the map of the world, just an endless scrolling map. Look how big Antarctica is. It's bigger than all of the
Mm,
rest of everything.
mm.
Well, it's just a projection, Dave. You don't understand. What?
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah. And you know, if the heat of the sun travels 93 million miles to the Sahara, then it's absurd to think that it could travel another 4,000 miles to Antarctica and it be super freezing cold. 93
Yeah.
million miles and then 4,000 miles more.
Yeah.
And while they were in Antarctica, the sun never set. Why was it so cold? Why did it get significantly colder at midnight than noon when the sun was at the same friggin' level?
Good point.
There's a lot of good points. There's a lot of good points.
So you talked about being in Acapulco. Was that for conference?
That was for a conference called Anarchapulco, and I, uh, I, I did a presentation, an hour presentation. It was awesome, and then we did a debate with some Globers. There was 3 or 4 flat earthers, including Jeff Berwick, and or anti-Globers, we'll say, to be more fair. And then 2 guys that just thought they knew everything, and their arguments were the most ridiculous things ever. We're all just like, how do we? Basically, just turned it all into a joke because it was crazy. They're telling us that at the equator you're lighter because the centrifugal force is pushing you away from the Earth, and that you weigh more in the north because you have less of a centrifugal force pushing you out. Right? Do you understand that? So you're spinning, the world is spinning, and at the equator, because you're spinning, it's pushing you away. The centripetal force is throwing you out, right? Like if you spun a tennis ball, the water would fly off at the equator, right?
Right.
But in the north, it would tip you over. It would push you towards the equator, but nobody feels that. But he says that it's that you're heavier in the north. And so my response to that was, and also Antarctica is a big crypto conference, also a lot of crypto people there. And I told everyone, I said, I want you all to forget about crypto. They're like, what? And I said, as soon as this is over, I want you all to go to Ecuador, buy as much gold as you can, and then go to Norway and sell it because it'll weigh more. Okay. That's right.
So what else do you have going on? What's coming up for you?
Um, what's going up for me? I'm just doing more interviews and ignoring the trolls because flat Earth is winning because it's the truth. We're in the middle of the apocalypse, and that's the lifting of the veil where everything will be revealed, just like it says in the Bible, as a religious cult that we're in. And kind of enjoying the show. It's an amazing show that we're having right now. It's absolutely amazing. Here's another. This is one of Elon's rockets, right? This thing has to withstand the space, but look, it's got a rip. Now, I say rockets, when they actually launch a rocket, these are helium balloons. They're just launching helium balloons into the sky for a light show, right? Look at that. How could that be? Can you see that? Right there.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So how can people find out more?
You can go to flatearthdave.com. And I highly encourage you to get the app, support my work. I appreciate it. You can also join my Patreon if you want, if you really wanted to help. But the app is $3 one-time charge. Now, there is some, if you want to join the social media part of the app, if you want to be able to message other people, you can receive messages. If you want to create meetups, if you want to use the dating feature, it's $11 a year. Okay. Now, any of you in the dating world, the like match.com, I think it's like $40 a month, right? At least these people on here are awake and aware to all of the nonsense in the world. So you have more in common with every one of those blue dots than you do with any dating site we'll ever hook you up with. All right. So that's it. flatearthdave.com. But if you don't want to get the app, that's fine. Scroll down to where it says crash course and watch the first 5 videos there. And then you'll be a flat earther. There's no way. There's videos by military whistleblowers. There's astronauts whistleblowing, pilots, and just well put together documentaries. Amazing, amazing stuff.
I appreciate you being here. You definitely have given us some things to think about so we can stretch and grow. And thanks for sharing yourself. And thanks everybody else for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, especially if you want to explore ideas and step out of your comfort zone and into your own power. And I also have a private group where we talk about novel ideas like this, and sometimes mundane ideas, but it's your safe space to do that. So you're free to join. So just check that out in the show notes. See y'all later. Ciao. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information, and the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. And let's make 2025 the year Flat Earth breaks free. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app or just refer the app to others and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.